everybody, welcome to day 5 of Marian Consecration. I hope it's all seeping in well if you're following along. Today we are looking at, should we really give Mary everything? I'll begin. The second part of de Montfort's formula of consecration says that we should give Mary everything, including our interior and spiritual goods, which are our merits and virtues and our good works, past, present, and future. Isn't this a bit too much? No, it's perfect, it's beautiful. Let's see why by learning how the offering affects others and ourselves. In regard to others, when we fully consecrate ourselves to Mary, we lose the unconditional right to distribute the value of our prayers and good actions to others. In other words, we give the rights to the grace merit of our prayers to Mary. We're telling her, Mary, I give you the right to distribute the grace of my prayers as you see fit. Making such a gift to Mary has a big benefit. It ensures that the grace of our prayers will be used in the best way possible. It works like this. Because of her unique vantage point from heaven, and on account of the most intimate communion with the Divine Son, Mary can best determine which people are most in need of our prayers. For instance, seeing some forgotten person in China about to die in despair, Mary can take the grace of our prayers and offered up sufferings and use it to help the dying person to trust in God and accept his mercy. Now, perhaps the idea has got some of us thinking, well, that's great. I'm happy to help the dying person in China, whom I don't know, but I'd be disappointed if I couldn't use the grace of my prayers and good works to help the people that I do know, like my family and friends. I'm worried that if I give Mary the right to distribute the grace of my prayers and good works, then I therefore lose the right to pray for those whom I especially love, even if they're less in need than the other people in the world. This is a legitimate concern, but there's no need to worry. Why? For 2 reasons. First, Mary makes the good things we give her more perfect. In other words, she augments, increases, and purifies the spiritual gifts and merits we give her. When we give them to her, she makes them more perfect. There's more grace and merit to go around. St. Louis uses an unforgettable analogy to explain this. It is as if a peasant, wishing to gain the friendship and benevolence of a king, went to the queen and presented her with a fruit which has his whole revenue, in order that she might present it to the king. The queen, having accepted the poor little offering from the peasant, would place the fruit on a large and beautiful dish of gold, and so, on the peasant's behalf, would bring it to the king. Then the fruit, however unworthy in itself to be a king's present, would become worthy of his majesty, because of the dish of gold on which it rested, and the person who presented it. Here's the second reason we shouldn't worry. Mary is never outdone in generosity. So if we're so generous as to give her the right to distribute the grace of our prayers and good works, she'll surely be especially generous to our loved ones. In fact, she'll take even better care of our loved ones than we can ourselves. For instance, let's say one of our family members or friends is in need of our prayer and we don't know it. Well, Mary knows it, and she'll make sure that the person doesn't go without. Giving Mary the right to distribute the grace of our prayers and good works doesn't mean we still can't pray for our loved ones. We can and should pray for them. It's just that we give Mary the final say of deciding to whom and for what purpose the grace of our prayers and good works should be applied. Remember, Mary is not outdone in generosity. She especially hears the prayers of those who have given her everything, including the value of all our good works. And she wants us to tell her the people intentions we hold in our hearts. If we're giving her everything, is there any doubt that she'll be as generous in giving whatever good we ask for to those who are dear to us? Today's prayer. Come, Holy Spirit, living in Mary. Help me be generous in giving all I am and all I have to Mary. Maybe you'd like to say it with me this time. Come, Holy Spirit, living in Mary. Help me be generous in giving all I am and have to Mary. There's a few things that come to mind when I read this. One, a lot of gratitude for my Vedic journey, or the teachings of Sanatana Dharma, which also in a more broad sense is looked at as Hinduism, but more the original ancient Indian texts that I've studied and learned about. Because it teaches this lens. It teaches the lens of, and I discussed it yesterday actually, the lens of offering out everything you do to God and doing without attachment to the outcome. So praying without attachment to the outcome. And I feel that's really beautiful. And this emphasizes it. I love the idea of our prayers being augmented when consecrated with Mary. And again, remember, I'm personally looking at this from the lens of my inner mother. So I'm consecrating my heart to that pure love within me, and therefore everything I do from that consecration of pure love in my heart is augmented. And I've been beginning to feel that already, really. I mean, it also probably has something to do with the fast that I've just completed that was done in preparation and part of this, because prayer and fasting go exceptionally well together. But I love the idea that part of pure love can decide who and what needs it the most. Because really with our family, it's just attachment. If we didn't have the attachment to our family and we were able to oversee who needed it the most and offer it from a place of unconditional love, and we would, without the attachment to our family, we might choose differently, right? But I also love the idea of praying for those I love. But I love praying for those I love. I feel like it's the greatest offering I have to give them really these days. And I read this book, but I cannot remember what it was called or who it was by. But it stayed with me because I didn't pray for a large period of my life. I didn't know if I even believed in God for a large period of my life. I had very little faith, and I was very sad in that period of my life. But in this book, one of the chapters is called "Your Suddenly is Someone Else's Constantly." So what this essentially means that you suddenly, let's let this go right. Something suddenly happening in your life that maybe feels like a miracle is someone else's constantly. So there are people in my life who have been praying for me for my whole life. My grandparents, my parents, maybe aunts and uncles, maybe a priest. There are people who have, and particularly, I know my mother and my grandmother are particularly prayerful and have been praying for me constantly all my life. So me returning to prayer at maybe 33, 34 years old, after leaving it from about 18, and all the beautiful things that have happened as a result, isn't like, oh, suddenly. No, it's someone else constantly praying for me. I don't think there's anything more powerful than praying for other people. It's far more powerful than praying for yourself. And I think the product of that is that you receive good graces. So you can't pray for others to pray for yourself. But if you but it kind of does work like that. But if you genuinely, from a pure heart, your heart consecrated to Mary, are praying for others for their greatest good, essentially you're just pointing the focus outwards to someone who you feel needs prayer. it's not necessarily that person, it's just like you see something that you could offer someone, and you're stating that with feeling and intention and words, and that's powerful. My other thing I would like to close with, well, who knows if I'll close with it, but so in the ashram of my guru, Amma means mother in Sanskrit. She is an incarnation of the Divine Mother. And interestingly, yesterday I read a book that I bought the last time I was there that I haven't opened yet, about how you're not able to fully see all that she is. And I already know that because I've had glimmers of who she is and what she's capable of while I'm there, and it continues to surprise me and leave me in awe. But I'm very aware that my mind can't possibly fathom, with the limitations that are still there, someone who is fully enlightened. How can I possibly witness that? Whilst part of me is God, and there is other stuff in the way, until I clear that stuff away, till I connect more to the part of me that is God, I can't see as much of her as is there. And there's this ritual process in the ashram of going out for darshan. So darshan is receiving her grace, receiving the divine light, and she gives hers in the form of a hug. Now, when you go up for a hug, you can basically offer your darshan to someone else. So the last time I was there, I was doing this quite a bit with friends and family, or people that passed away, of people I know. And you basically take their picture up, and I would normally write a prayer on the back, and Amma blesses it. And it's funny because there's a part of me that knows that she is aware of every single thought I have, because I've experienced it. I've seen things that I've written come to life. I've seen changes in other people as a result of things I've done separate from going up for her darshan. She's aware of everything. She is always with me. She's here right now. She's aware of this conversation. That she is fully consecrated to the Divine Mother, fully aware. So it doesn't really make a difference if I go up and that physical act, because she already knows what I'm praying for, and she is rightfully distributing it out. But I think there is an added little something which I am not aware of, but it feels like sometimes asking is when you are given. Sometimes we need to ask to receive. There's a power in asking. There's a power in that clarity. There's a power in speaking out loud that which we connect to and believe we need. So sometimes what we need is we need to, feel we need to pray for others, or want to. And so not just because, Amma knows everything, or the Divine Mother knows everything, I'm going to sit back and do nothing. I see non-action as more like not sitting in a hammock, but acting for the greatest good of one and all. And if prayers increase grace, the magic factor, which it's saying in this, it does. So your prayers increase the capacity of the entire human consciousness for grace. And I think it's all worth us praying with our whole hearts. And maybe it's actually quite beneficial to pray for those who you find it easiest to pray for. Maybe sometimes you don't, but having that clear point of focus, and then offering up to Mary and say, okay, distribute that and augment that and expand that however you feel best. And trusting that the average human being doesn't know best. I definitely don't know best. My experience of reality changes all the time. My awareness, my knowledge of things changes all the time. So I just know I do not know. And that's kind of fun. I think one of the beauties of life is living in the mystery of it. God is a mystery, life is a mystery. It's kind of a fun game. It's like, oh, what's going to happen? I don't know. But in alignment, like having that consecration to your inner Immaculate Mother, pure love, then just, I feel a lot of this is about trust of handing it over to love. So I'll leave it there for today. See you tomorrow. Sending you lots of love until then.